There, this is Pastor Tabitha Purple. I'm doing my tops and tips for parents who are locked in during this experience. We are literally in quarantine now because one of us has taken sick, so we're down to one adult and 3 children. And one of the tips that I gave earlier in the week was about structure. And so this week, a lot of homeschool parents have been coming out to offer their advice, offer their help, to give tips over how we can, as non-homeschooling parents, survive this process, and not only survive, but bond with our children, enjoy their presence, enjoy being at home with them. You know, most of us didn't have children to not like them. We wanted them to be well-rounded humans. And so we want to spend time with them in an enjoyable fashion that leads to bonding. Now, children are difficult, and so that can be challenging. So lots of homeschoolers particularly, but also psychologists and other people have released articles in the last week, or those articles have surfaced in the last week to give us some advice. And one of the big advice that was coming through, the dominant theme, is over structure. Now, remember at the beginning of the week, I had said to you that this was my top tip. If there was another tip that I had for you, that I could think of that was the best that I could do, this was the best one. And it was the one that really gave peace to my family. So there were a number of things that I really wanted to emphasize because most of what the psychologists, most of what the educators were saying, most of what the homeschoolers were saying also led to this idea of structure. But structure for different people can be quite overwhelming. So I wanted to break down what our day looked like to help you see how to have a flexible structure. And that sounds like an oxymoron, but we have had to have a flexible week because of my work. That has meant that I've had to leave the house on occasion to do things for other people. And because the children are off school, it's meant that it's disrupted their activities because everyone's had to go with me. Or I've not been there to lead the activity, which means the activity has been changed. So it's really important for us to give a structure to the day that the children can see. And what we did was we put this on a whiteboard, and I will post this to the Pastor Purple webpage. And when it goes live, you will get the information and you can see the pictures, and hopefully that will bring some clarity. But for now, let me just talk you through it. So what we do is we have a wake up time set to 7 o'clock. That is regardless of school time or no school time, because we have one child particularly who would get up at 4 and have us all awake. So we've set very strict that you cannot get out of bed before 7. And 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock while we're homeschooling is free time. They must have breakfast before 9 o'clock. That's the only stipulation. But they can sleep in, they can play a game, they can watch TV, they can read a book, they can, whatever tickles them. My son this morning decided that we're going to do art at like 8 o'clock in the morning. Fine. A little bit intense, but okay. We just did some writing at the table, nothing too elaborate, but that's what he wanted to do in his free time. But it was free time, and you emphasize the fact that it's free time, and the one thing they must have done by 9 o'clock is they must have had breakfast. That's it. Very simple, nothing too elaborate, and breakfast is kind of set in the household. So that's a lot of free times, 2 hours worth of free time. Let them sleep in, let them relax, you don't have to be pressured. Most younger children get up quite early anyway, and so to have this kind of free time period is really good for them. For those children that sleep longer, of course, you adjust your day to your children. My children do not sleep past 8 o'clock. If anyone sleeps past 8 o'clock in my house, I think tears well up in my eyes with joy. I have children that would get up at 4 and have a party. So we start at 7 till 9 with free time. From 9 o'clock till 10:30, we have lesson time. This is when they have to do a structured learning activity, workbook, coding, websites, learning a new language, whatever that activity is, but they have to learn something. It's the school time, it's the teaching time. They have lots of workbooks, and so we do that during that 9 till 10:30 time, everybody sits at their various spots. Sometimes they're all around the table, and that means that I can then give input. Sometimes one is on the computer downstairs and one is at the table. Try to give a little bit of distance between them so that they can feel like they get the one-on-one contact, but that the other sibling is not in their space. So that's been quite important. Then from 10:30 we have a fruit break, and from 11 o'clock till 12 o'clock we have art class. Now art class is normally led by me. It takes various forms, and as the previous video will tell you, today's art class was on chromatography, and it went very well, so I'm very pleased with that. I can recommend doing that again. So I will look at different ways of doing the chromatography to see if we can add little spins on what we learnt this time. But we do art, it's for 1 hour, because what happens at midday is lunchtime. So they have a fruit break and then they have lunchtime, and that's very set in their day. It's very similar times to what they have at school, which makes it easy for them to feel that rhythm of schooling, to feel the rhythm, because these are children who are used to the rhythm of school, and therefore when you disrupt that, that can really be very unsettling. So I wanted to keep the similar rhythm that I could to schooling, with different activities, with less of the kind of didactic teaching, should we say. So then from approximately 1, because we have lunchtime, lunch can run early or late. We give ourselves an hour for lunch. It never takes an hour to eat food, thankfully. But maybe people are not hungry all at the same time, but they have this 1 hour to eat. And we can make things together, or, you know, there's a flexibility there for the food portion of the day. So according to which child needs what input, you can then have that hour to play with that input. And then from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock, they have free time every day. We stipulate that most of that free time should be spent outside, and so it's called outside free time. We have now limited their free time to the garden because we are self-isolating, so they're not allowed to leave the garden anymore unless they're just going on a bike ride, in which case they're not going to touch anybody else, they're not going to come into contact with people, so they can go on a bike ride. But otherwise they are limited to the garden. Today we cleaned up. What is actually very funny is outside time turned into cleaning time, and my son washed my windows in pursuit of, I'm not quite sure what happened, but he's a very helpful boy. He loves to help people, and today he figured helping mummy see out of the windows was what he could contribute to the family while cleaning up the shed, because he was very reluctant to clean up the shed because it had spiders in and he did not want to be in there for long. He's like, I don't want the cobwebs in my hair. Very important that we do not get cobwebs in our hair or in our fingers. Okay, so we had the shed cleared, and this was their free time. This is what they chose to do, but this is where the conflict happened. And so the big conflict happened at the clearing out the shed. They had agreed that today they would clear out the shed. This has been an ongoing conversation, especially considered we were on quarantine to the house now and to the garden. And so they'd committed to that. But one of the Storms did not want to participate in this activity. This led to quite a lot of conflict with the brother, which then led to quite a lot of conflict with his mother, which then resulted in me taking his tablet and sending him to his room. So his room is a playground. It has Lego, it has books in, nothing else, but it has enough in to keep you occupied. Lego magazines, it has all the kind of reading materials that a child could ever wish for. The toys are not in his room. The toys are in another room in the main living area. But he could have, he's not banished to his room and it's boring. There is more than enough inputs there. So, but we said for the rest of the day, that's it, because the conflict was that big and that contentious that we were not going to have that anymore. So he was banished off to his room. But then what we have next, from 3 to 5, they have 3 tasks that they have to get done. It's 2 hours and 3 tasks, and they're very easy. They have to do their chores. Their chores are not too demanding. They're easy enough to get done. They have to read a book. So they have to get their book out to read, and then they have to have a bath. these are 3 very easy things to do. Quite frankly, you could spend most of the time in the bath and get the other stuff done very quickly. But it's up to the child to manage their time. As long as by the time 5 o'clock comes, those things are done, no problem. That happens 5-ish, it says on the board. Because, of course, when you say 5, children take a long time to get started, they take a long time to switch tasks, they want to spend longer in the bath because it's playing in water and spending time. I still have children who love to do that, so hey, let them play in the bath, it's great, I don't mind at all. If you're going to run a bathtub of water, you should use the bathtub of water. Mine do that. So fine. And then we have dinner at 6, and then the littlest one goes to bed. So she has had her bath, she goes to bed, and then the older ones, they can have reading time, we have unwind time. So that's how a structured, flexible day looks. As you can see, there's like 5 hours in the afternoon realistically, where there's not any parental structured input. The children get to pick for themselves really what they do. They get to enjoy their time really how they want to. What I will say the conclusion of this is, which is really funny, is that I've been telling my children they're on holiday, and my children have been telling me no, because we're at homeschool, and homeschool is intense because you're a strict mummy. But when I look at the structure of the day, I know that they have hours of free time. They play a lot. So there's 2 hours first thing in the morning, there's 3 hours in the afternoon, there's 2 hours of just flexible time where, you know, get the chores done quickly. You know, they take 10-20 minutes to get your chores done. They get 1 chore each, because that's fair for the children. And then read your book. I mean, it's not exactly rocket science. So it's, well, one of them tries to read rocket science, by the way, so maybe it is rocket science, but it's still your time. You get to pick your book, you get to pick what you do, you get to pick how you do it. So it's much more flexible, and everything that everyone's been saying this week leads me to believe that this is the right thing to do. My children are very happy that tomorrow is our Sabbath and our day off, and that mummy for once is not going to work. She's not going to church, she's not preaching, she's not working all day long, she's not running multiple programs and seeing multiple groups of people and investing in everyone else but her own family. So they're very happy that tomorrow is Sabbath. I'm a little more nervous, so I'm going to do a video about that, and we're going to talk about what it looks like to have 12 hours of waking children's hours where you are restricted about what you can do in some way, shape or form. Well, that's the video on structure. I really do hope that that helps to unpack an idea of what we've been talking about this week. Look at some of the articles that have surfaced. It's really important that we share this information, that we think about everything logically and kind of be really clear. I hope it encourages you to just not be so worried and nervous, but give yourself lots of breathing room within the day, that things do not go as you would like them, that they may not look the way you think, but you have real intense moments when they need to do things, and lots of breathing room to just be together, play a game, you know, catch a ball, kick a ball around the garden, play football, whatever, and spend time with one another, because that's really important. And through that you get to ask so many questions, and the children are learning so much about life just by interacting with us. So that's really important, and I hope that that makes sense. I hope you understand the point that I'm trying to make. I hope that it helps you to reflect in your own family. For the coming week, we've got the next period will begin again. So I won't do a tops and tips for parents until Sunday evening or Monday. Just to see how we're going to start the week and look at what we're going to do. So the next tops and tips is going to be about Sabbath, and I'll do that one, and we will share with you some ideas of how we can do Sabbath as a family all together when we are restricted on what we can do in terms of being outside, in terms of going to other places, in terms of not being at church. So there's so much we can't do that we would normally do on a Sabbath, which then does make it a little bit more challenging than normal. Okay, have a blessed and wonderful week, and I'm hoping that this first week of being locked in went well, and next week we have a new week, so let's do it. We can do it. I believe in you. Have a good one. Bye bye.